Happy Tuesday, people. This is the Pick Six Podcast. I'm Ryan Wilson. That's John Breech. And that, of course, is the reason we're all here today, Mr. Pete Prisco. Breech, as you are well aware, and Harry, just so you know, Brinson had a hair plug emergency, so he is on temporary IR. We will see him tomorrow. In the meantime, if you're watching us on YouTube at NFL on CBS, hit the old like button and make sure you subscribe. And while you're at it, give us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. On Monday's show, Katie Mox, Brinson, and Emery Hunt took a look at early odds for Week 8. Before you put any money down this week, give that a listen, Breech, to make sure you're making good choices. Speaking of making good choices, Pete, and also making money, I'd encourage you to make your way over to the CBS Sports Expert page because yours truly had a record weekend. And Pete, I know you've been happily spreading the word around the office while I'm not there about my exploits. So why don't you announce it to everybody what I exactly accomplished?
You went 0-13 against the spread. You know how hard that is?
Impossible. Hey, before you go, Breech, tell us how hard it is if you'd bet on this game.
If you had faded Ryan Wilson's picks in Week 7 and bet $50 in a parlay against all 13 picks, you would be $220,000 richer right now.
So, Pete, you've had a field day.
If you bet 500 a game, if you bet 500 a game, you'd be $2 million.
You retire. You retire. So you took great glee in this. I got a text from Jamie Eisenberg making fun of me because you were.
I swear I did not say something to him.
Sure you did. Did you? How much did you enjoy texting me at 11 o'clock on Sunday night?
Oh, I looked at it because I always look. I see how horrible mine are, and then I look across the board and I see, boy, we're all awful.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
You can't pick this league. You just can't. You can't.
Sunday was an especially terrible day. Like I'm terrible at betting. Clearly, we all know that. But even for sharps, I think they had a tough afternoon, right?
It was bad. It's a bit across the board. All I heard was people complaining about it, how tough it is. I mean, it was hard, but okay. I think I was like 5 and something,
yeah.
And most of us were 6 or 5 or something. Most of us were
0-13 is tough.
It's almost you can't do it. You couldn't. It's impossible. Almost impossible.
You know what? Though
you couldn't do it if you tried to do it. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Luckily, I'm not going to tell anyone I was trying. I'll tell you that much. But it is Breech because he's the positive force on the show. Notes. I did win the experts straight up against the spread the last 2 years, Pete. Much to your dismay because you got angry down the stretch, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I'm usually hanging around the vicinity, and I don't win it because I choke down the stretch. I think, but. I'm awful. I mean, I feel so bad. I give my picks out and I'm embarrassed to do it. And you know what?
Worse.
I make picks with Brady Quinn on our show every Wednesday. He's worse than me. Somebody said our college guys, Fornelli and those guys are like 30 games. Emory, they're 30 games under 500.
Well, that makes you feel better.
Yeah.
None of them went 0 for the weekend, though.
What were the records for the week, Breech, across the board?
You know what, Prisco? You went 5-8, which sounds bad in theory, but that was the second best record against the spread for Week 7, trailing only Dave Richard, who went 7-6. That was number 1, and there were 8 underdogs that won in Week 7. And to Pete's point, that makes it impossible to predict because most people feel like, I need to pick 2 or 3 underdogs to win. You try and figure out who they are. You can't do it with 8 underdogs. No one's picking 8 underdogs to outright win, not even cover, just win the game. So it was an insane week.
By the way, I looked to see if Ryan Wilson was close in any of his picks. Seattle, they got a late field goal. You would have covered that one. Seattle needed
the 49ers screwed me.
If Seattle had not got a first down late in the game, you would have covered that. You would have covered that one. And then what was the other one?
Yeah, but I'm begging for
Browns Colts.
Browns Colts.
Oh, dang it.
And then his own team screwed him over with the Steelers and the Rams. He had the Rams covering.
Yeah.
No, your Brett Maher screwed me over. Maher screwed me over.
Also, the spot. It was a terrible spot.
Oh, a terrible spot. We talked about that on Sunday night's show. All right. Enough making fun of me. At least specifically, you can do that at your leisure. If you're listening or watching or whatever. 0-13. I own it. These things happen. Probably won't be the last time, Breech. Let's be real. All right, today we're going to run through Prisco's Week 8 power rankings, play buyers and sellers at the deadline, and then blind rank the best NFL uniforms. But first, the Minnesota Vikings surprised the 49ers and me on Monday Night Football. And it's Halloween season, Pete. And if I recall correctly, you and I were in Nashville for the draft, and we were just shooting the bull. I think you're a Halloween guy, right?
I used to be before they got politically correct with all the
Okay,
costumes.
we don't need to go down that road. But let's
No,
just start
I
here.
used to like a vulgar costume or something. you
Oh,
know,
right.
and
That's what it was. You were telling me
Yeah.
stories about crazy costumes. You and
Yeah.
I think your wife used to go as a tag team or whatever.
Yeah, we used to have fun with it, but now somebody takes a picture of you and they go, "Oh, what's wrong with that kid?" I don't know.
I say that about you all the time. What's wrong with you?
Well, there is a lot wrong with me. I'm going to admit that. I mean,
But let's go.
people want to take you down all the time. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. That's what the text I thought I was getting on Sunday night. Instead, you were just making fun of my picks. But let's go here. Breech, we make fun of him for being a closet serial killer and cat lover. Turns out Prisco's a cat lover. But Pete, let me ask you this. Rank your 3 to 5 scariest movies. And you can go back as far as you want, because I think the movies used to be scary when we were younger.
Those horror movies never scared me.
Oh, there we go.
You know what scared me? You know what scares me? Seven.
IRS. Oh,
Seven.
Seven. Seven's a good one.
Seven.
That counts. I'll give you 7.
Yeah, but the Saw movies are actually creative.
Ooh.
I didn't watch more than one of those because I felt like it's the same thing.
They are the same thing, but he comes up with devious ways to kill. So it's kind of like, like if a guy does something, then you kill him with something that he wouldn't want you to kill. You put him in a room. The Saw movies are all of them, and I've kind of stumbled onto those. And okay, you say he's
stumbled onto the Saw movie.
He's a serial.
It's him Googling. Has anyone ever sawed their ankle off?
No, he's
and
like
then found it.
You say you're a serial killer, cat lover. Well, I have cats, and I read a lot of books about serial killers, and I've actually watched a lot of documentaries on serial killers. So you could lump me into that category if you want to.
Breech, I know you dress up for Halloween because you have a little girl. Were you a Halloween person prior to that?
I love Halloween. Halloween is easily a top 2 holiday for me.
I hate Halloween so much.
How do you hate Halloween?
Did I strike you someone who likes dressing up?
Yeah, but when you used to go to the bar dressed up as Halloween, that was fun.
I would go to the bar, but I was the butthole who didn't dress up.
Oh, that was even worse. You're that guy.
It is
You're
not
that guy. You stood out like a sore thumb. You're that guy. See, but now Halloween's good because you just lock the doors and turn the lights off and act like you're not home.
Oh yeah, I do that too.
Yeah, and then kids throw eggs at your house and toilet paper, you Pete.
But
so
like
Breech,
those movies, Freddy Krueger movies, Halloween movies, none of that ever scared me because it wasn't real.
No, that's 80s. Let me throw this one at you. And Breech, you can weigh in too, although this is a little out of your age bracket, I would think, but maybe you went back. The Exorcist was legit scary.
Yeah, because I don't believe in it, so it didn't scare me.
You're Catholic. You have to believe in it.
Not in that, the way, it's going to take over somebody. I don't believe in that.
All right, Breech, I'm going to name these 3 movies, and then you can rank them if you want to include the
By the
Exorcist
way,
as well.
some people think I am the devil.
Yeah, that you're looking at least one of them, maybe 2. All right, Breech. So you can throw The Exorcist in there if you've seen it. I'm going to give you 3 other movies, and then you can throw in others if you so choose. The Shining.
Yeah.
Blair Witch. That Blair Witch legit. Like I don't get scared at movies. That movie legitimately scared me. I saw it at the movie theater during the middle of the day. I know Pete's impressed. And finally,
it was
The
ahead
Ring.
of its time.
And The Ring. I'll mention The Ring. So any of those get your attention, or is there something scary, Breech?
Pete, have you even seen The Ring?
No.
Yeah, you can't turn the television on, or that little girl comes and gets you. Of course.
I would put Pet Sematary up there, and I feel like it always depends on when you saw the movie. That movie came out, I think, in 1989. I saw it as a 10-year-old, so it's the only movie in my whole entire life that has given me nightmares. I think I had nightmares for 5 years about Pet Sematary. But that's about it. But there is one I want to see, and it's Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Oh, that looks
the copyright expired on Winnie the Pooh, so now it's in the public domain. And so you can do anything with the Winnie the Pooh character. So somebody went out and made a freaking Winnie the Pooh horror movie. So that's going to watch on Halloween. I don't know if it's toddler appropriate. Can you show it to a 3-year-old?
You know what movie scared me back in the day?
What?
Helter Skelter.
That's about what's his name, right? Yeah, I didn't see that. That was a documentary, probably.
Yeah, no, it was a movie, but it was scary. It was scary.
All right, let's get going here. Enough Halloween talk. Harry's had enough. I don't blame him.
Harry's like, why did I put this in the rundown?
Hey, I don't scare.
You don't scare. You don't. I will say quickly, and Harry, you didn't see this, but I will send you the clip since I've been getting dumped on this show. At the Los Angeles Super Bowl a few years ago, we were outside on top of a hotel. Breech and Brinson almost fell off the top of the hotel in one of the big sort of sunshades almost fell on them, and it would have hurt them pretty badly. I didn't flinch, and Pete didn't flinch when he was up there. So that's how tough we are, Breech.
Yes.
Brinson was flailing like a little kid.
Hey, bald guys are tough. That's a known thing.
All right, here we go. Let's do this. Power rankings time, Pete. Got to start off with the old 49ers on your power rankings this week. I mean, I think they lost on purpose, so I would go 0-13, but whatever. Kirk Cousins, to his credit, balling out. Jordan Addison, to his credit, without Justin Jefferson, had a fantastic game, the rookie wide receiver. But they only fell one spot, the 49ers. So what's your math there?
Well, there's a lot of teams behind them lost. Look at them.
I know I went 0-13, but you just
well,
just
you know all about losing this week. Ryan Wilson, you like that when I said
did you see
0?
Quickly. So that's the word I'll say. Breech. Send me a text that said Ryan Wilson and the O was replaced with a 0 because I'm a loser.
Come on, that's good.
All right, explain the 49ers.
Look, the 49ers, back-to-back road games is always tough. Back-to-back road games when you're playing on Monday night are always tough. And I'm saying this now, I should have picked the Vikings to cover, and I didn't. But, they're missing guys on offense. The surprising thing about the 49ers on Monday was how bad their defense was. Where the hell was the pass rush? They're supposed to be this vaunted pass rush with all these pass rushers. They didn't get them down. Think about that. They did not get them down. Where's Bosa?
Yeah.
They didn't get him down.
Making underwear ads for Kim Kardashian. That's where he is.
Oh, is that what he's doing?
Do you have questions about Purdy late in the game? Does that worry you?
Hey, boy. Breech, what do you think about Purdy? Because I thought he came out firing, looked better than he did obviously last week, and then the wheel sort of fell off.
Look at those last 2 drives.
Not even the last 2 drives. Our research team has another graphic where Purdy, when he is trailing in the fourth quarter, has a QB rating of 17.1, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and a completion percentage below 40%. So,
But you just called him a front runner, Breech.
Well, I didn't call him a front runner. Wilson called him a front runner.
I was just asking.
The 49ers about to lose 3 straight games. They're playing the Bengals in week 8. I would be a little bit worried about Brock Purdy because it feels like, I feel like the knock on him was that he's a game manager, and we just kept seeing him making these great throws. He's made some great throws. He's done a great job. But what happens when you get out of the game script and the game managing part? Well, that happens when you start trailing. And what has happened when the 49ers are trailing is that Purdy has struggled trying to make his own plays, and that hasn't worked. So I do think that is an issue the 49ers have to worry about, especially when you play good teams.
Well, go back and look, Ryan or Breech, because you have your computers in front of you. Look at the number of interceptions he threw at Iowa State. He threw a lot, if I'm not.
Off the top of my head, I think it was a lot his final year because it felt like he was doing too much. The year before, he was better, but it Breech
because he was doing too much. That's the problem.
Right. And so it's a concern. Sometimes you are what you are. And
he's fine.
He's better than he's better than his draft slot, but he ain't close to Joe Montana either.
Well, no.
Well, people were rushing that though.
Yeah, fair enough. I get it, but he's fine. And
to answer Pete's question real quick, he threw 8 interceptions in 13 games during his final season at Iowa State. And during his career, threw 33 interceptions in 48 games. So average just under.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he was pressing his last year at Iowa State. He seemed to be pressing this game without Deebo Samuel, without Trent Williams. So we'll see.
It wasn't like he was pressured. It wasn't like he was getting knocked on the ground. Trent Williams was not having him was a non-factor in the game. I just think
he shouldn't be losing to that team anyway.
He played pretty well up until the end. And so the end is the concern.
I haven't gone back and looked at the interception. The first interception, I don't know if that was all on him or not.
It was high.
No, the first one where he just threw it straight to the Cam Bynum the first time, I think, in the middle of the field. I think
that's on him.
Juwan Jennings fell down.
That was all right. Him. It wasn't getting in the middle of the field. He anticipated he wasn't getting there.
It's been announced. Breech. That was on Purdy, according to Pete Prisco.
Purdy.
Here we go. Moving on. The real question, according to what I'm reading in front of me, according to producer Harry, why aren't the Eagles number 1? Because the Eagles beat up on Harry's Miami Dolphins team. It was close till the end, and it kind of got away from Miami. But why do you have the Eagles number 2 as we sit here?
Because the Chiefs are better than the Eagles.
Woo! All right, well, that's easy.
I mean, everybody just discounts the Chiefs' defense. They played well this year.
We talked about it on the Sunday night show. That defense is playing really well.
And now the offense has started to look like the offense again. I mean, what did Mahomes throw for 450 the other day? That's back. We hadn't done that all year.
I don't
We're
even
back.
want, I'm tired of defending Brandon Staley, so I don't want to talk about that game.
Well, you can't defend Brandon Staley. There's no defense of him. Zero.
If he were making CBS Sports expert picks, he would have gone 0-13.
By the way, Kellen Moore hasn't made the offense any better either.
They're scoring fewer points somehow the last few games. I think he's better for Justin Herbert, but I think that team, like the Browns, I feel like they're just cursed.
Well, yeah, usually guys get hurt or they find ways to lose games.
Find
that they
ways
have no business
to.
losing.
It's crazy.
Yeah, they're not. They're not very good right now.
You know what? You know who else is not very good? The Detroit Lions, who got smacked down by the Ravens. Pete, you moved the Ravens up 6 spots. I mean, you almost moved them to number 1. Let me just ask you this. Are you overreacting to this win? Because this is a team who has lost to both the Colts and the Steelers within the past 5 weeks.
You knew it was going to take time to get the offense going. By the way, they had no business losing to either game. They should have beat the Steelers.
A lot.
Gave that game away. Had they have 7 drops in that game?
5 of them in the end zone.
See those numbers? 357, 4 and none. That's what we've been waiting for Lamar Jackson in that Todd Monken offense. It's taken them a little time. They're healthier now. But here's the thing that people aren't paying attention to. They're the number 1 scoring defense in the league right now. Number 1. So you look at that team. What are they giving up? 13 points a game? Is that right? Am I right about that?
I'm not
Well,
sure.
I mean, you look at who they've played as far as being the number 1 scoring defense. They had C.J. Stroud making his first career start. They had Dorian Thompson-Robinson making his first career start, and to date his only start because he was so bad.
They had the hot lion Jared Goff making his.
That's true. But then he had Joe Burrow on the bad calf, and Kenny Pickett and Ryan Tannehill with a broken ankle. I mean, the schedule is kind of falling in their favor here.
They're still number 1 scoring defense in the league. You can't look who's Kansas City defeated beside Jacksonville that has a winning record. Nobody.
We'll get to that in a second. It's like you're reading the script. And by the way, Pete, just so you're made aware, this is Breech trying to stand up for the Bengals by taking down all the other AFC North teams.
Oh, I think the Ravens are good. I said this on the podcast Sunday night. The Ravens were my preseason pick to win the division. I'm just not sure I'm moving them up 6 spots.
You picked the Ravens. You know what that is. I'm not going to get that for Christmas. I'm not going to get it for Christmas. I know I'm not getting that toy I want. I know I'm not getting it.
And it worked during my childhood multiple times, Pete.
Yeah, because you were a spoiled little kid. That's why.
What? No.
Yeah.
He has like 7 brothers and sisters. You can't spoil one of them.
Whose spoon had more silver on it? Breech's or Brinson's?
Not even close, Brinson.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Jim Breech had to raise an entire, like, it was like Brady Bunch over there.
Brinson didn't even have a silver spoon. It was 24 karat gold, and he got a new one for every breakfast.
I would agree with you 100%.
All right, Pete, you sort of touched on it here. The Chiefs are number 1, but as producer Harry notes, they've lost to the only above 500 team they played so far week 1 against my Detroit Lions. So how can you?
Well, they beat Jacksonville's above 500.
That's why I said producer Harry made these notes.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Well, yeah.
When did they beat Jacksonville?
Week 2.
Week
2. Okay. All right. Maybe they weren't above 500 at the time. Either way, you have the Chiefs here. They haven't really played anyone. You okay with that?
Well, okay. Who's Miami defeated?
They beat the Broncos by 50.
Yeah, they're not very good. I mean, you could go through everybody's schedule and say, who have they defeated? Who have they beaten? And so the reality is the Chiefs are the best team. If you had to play a game in the middle of Alabama between the Chiefs and whoever, the Chiefs
and the Ravens,
and the Chiefs are winning that game.
Would they?
Yeah, they would.
All right. Yeah, Breech. Pete's used my neutral field argument. So, all right, Breech, I'll ask you, Chiefs on a neutral field. And by the way, Breech's wife from Alabama, so it may favor the Bengals. Chiefs, Eagles. Who you taking, Breech?
On a neutral field, I'm taking the Chiefs.
Same. Pete?
I think Pete's got that one right.
Yeah.
All right. Chiefs, Ravens, same thing?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm taking the Ravens.
All right. I'll mention one more. Chiefs, Dolphins. Everyone's at full health.
Chiefs. And we'll know in a couple of weeks as they play on a neutral field in Germany.
Oh, that's a good
There you
point. I can't believe they moved that game to Germany. My God.
Hey, you gotta, when you talk about Miami, going out on the road 3 times and the offense being stifled 3 times, not a good look.
No.
Not a good look.
They're I don't know if they're going to win the division. They need to win the division.
It's
That
in fairness to them, they were missing 3 offensive linemen on Sunday.
Yeah.
So, but they only scored 10 points. They had a pick 6. They only scored 10 points.
They really only scored 7 points because the field goal came off of Jalen Hurts' fumble, and then they went 3 and out, didn't do anything, kicked the field goal.
Yeah, so it's 7 points. So
yeah.
And then when they played New England, they beat New England, and they slowed them that day. And then Buffalo totally slowed them down. If you ever get caught playing man coverage with no safety over the top against Tyreek Hill, your defensive coordinator should be fired on the spot.
You deserve what you get.
Yep.
All right, now that we've talked about the top teams, you know what? Let's talk about the team that moved up the most in the rankings this week. It is Ryan Wilson's Pittsburgh Steelers. Wilson might have gone 0-13 against the spread, but he did get a moral victory here with his team moving up 11 spots to number 11, as you can see if you were watching on YouTube. Pete, here's my question for you. The Steelers are easily the most fraudulent 4-2 team in the history of the NFL. True. How did they jump up 11 spots after beating a 3-4 Rams team thanks to a meltdown by Brett Maher and a horrible spot by the official? That is enough to justify moving them up 11 spots.
Well, look at the teams. Look at the teams around them, and look what they've done.
All right, let me tell you.
Are they better than Atlanta? They're the same as Atlanta.
Seahawks
the
at 10.
Bills? You take the Steelers over the Bills?
Seahawks at 10, Falcons at 12, Buffalo at 13, Cincy at 14. I mean, look, man, I'll stand up for the Steelers as much as anyone, but I'm struggling with 11 spots up.
Well, a lot of teams lost, and they're winning, and not only that, they beat the Ravens. As ugly as it was, they did beat them.
Their point differential is -24, I believe.
What'd you
I think
say?
their point differential.
Well, the offense actually showed life on Sunday.
Late.
No, he played pretty good, Pickett.
Late. The first half, they struggled. Not just him, everybody. But they played better late. TJ Watt had to get the interception to get the ball down the 7-yard line, and they went from there.
But then he started playing well, Pickett. I think that's a good sign for them going forward.
Okay. I mean, I'm not going to complain about it. I get it, but I take Breech's point for sure. All right. Not a lot of followers.
There's a lot of crap teams in the NFL, by the way. Somebody's got to.
Is it crap teams, or is it just like parody, as the NFL likes to say?
It's crap. In other words, not many teams are very good.
It's crap parody.
I will say I enjoyed week 7. Like, I thought those were a lot of good games.
Coming from someone who enjoyed week 7,
you went 0-13. How did you enjoy that? You should be on the floor.
I didn't know who I picked.
Like a kid curled up in a fetal position. What are you talking about? Oh, mommy, help me! I went 0-13.
That's why you shouldn't pay attention to social media and be on the computer all the time. I was living a great life until you texted me, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm terrible."
You know, it's funny. It's believable that Wilson said he didn't know who he picked, because you don't look until after the 4:00 game. So
right.
You don't even think
That's
about
when I looked. I looked that night and I saw it, and then I texted him, and then he was holding out hope. You don't tell me you weren't holding out hope that you were in the Niners last night.
Brock Purdy, he screwed me. Brock Purdy, again, Jake Moody missed a kick.
By the way, Pittsburgh-Jacksonville this week is a good game. Pittsburgh and Jacksonville, remember, they used to be in the same division. Those used to be wars.
Oh, and Fred Taylor used to run all up and down the Steelers.
He still has this. He held the single season. That was my last game covering Jacksonville before I took this job. Think about how long ago that was.
Was that 07? That might have been Tomlin's first year.
It's 23 years ago. So it was
2000. Okay.
Yeah. They went to Three Rivers, and it was a night game, and I was sick all weekend, and Fred Taylor went for 270, I think, against a great Steelers defense, which is amazing.
Brunell in 2000?
Yeah. And so, but there's the best story ever to come out of any, because they were bad rivalries. Jim Miller, he works in the media, Jim Miller. Jacksonville claimed him after Pittsburgh cut him the week of the Steelers game. And the Steelers took offense to it, thinking that they're going to pick their brain and everything. So Greg Lloyd hit Keenan McCardell with one of the dirtiest, filthiest, most disgusting hits you've ever seen. Like, you'd be suspended for half a year. It was so bad.
Yeah.
And after the game, Greg Lloyd, think about this virally now, how it would go. Greg Lloyd came out and said that Keenan called his house the week of the game and said stuff to his wife.
What?
Yeah. It was not true. Not in any way, shape, or form was it true. But the theory was that the Steelers told Greg Lloyd and some others, take out that on forgetting Jim Miller for that. That's how the league used to be. And like the other day I said, somebody asked me, what would the pile be like? You know, the push back in the day. They would have taken the quarterback's leg and wrenched it in the pile back in the day. They just give it a little one. You're not going to run this play again.
I love, and you probably heard the story too, Breech, but I love Pete back in the day when he was covering the Jaguars, driving Tom Coughlin crazy. He'd be hanging out in the parking lot trying to get quotes from players, trying to evade Tom Coughlin, keeping an eye on him. Oh, frisky Pete Prisco.
I was good at it.
You were good at it. All right. We're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the New York teams, all three of them, coming up next.
Ooh.
The group stage continues, with Italian staples taking on Champions League debutants and what's sure to be an unrelenting battle between Celtic and Atletico Madrid on CBS Sports Network and streaming live on Paramount+.
All right, we're going to move away from the old Pete Power Rankings here and on to something that might sway Power Rankings for weeks to come. The old trade deadline. Last year, Christian McCaffrey, Bradley Chubb, and Calvin Ridley were traded new squads. Who will be the teams looking to plug some gaps this year? It's buyers and sellers. Let's start it off with who is buying. And after last night, do you think the 49ers will be looking for help, Pete?
No. In what way? What kind of help?
Yeah, Debo's out for a little bit.
They're very top heavy as an
cornerback
organization right now. They're very top heavy.
They didn't get any sacks on Kirk Cousins, 0 pass rush.
Well, they have assets invested in it. I mean, you got a lot of money in Bosa. You got a lot of money in Buckner. I mean, Armstead, not Buckner. They should have kept Buckner. Armstead. So, no, they're top heavy. The roster has a lot of top heavy. They're not in a position to go get guys.
They always seem to find a way, though. And look,
well, they added Randy Gregory.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know if he played it all last night. I think he had a handful.
He did.
He had a handful of snaps the week before as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, Danielle Hunter's out there. Patrick Surtain, I don't know if he's available or not.
Is Danielle Hunter out there now that the Vikings won?
That's true.
Yeah, there's no way the Vikings are in a fire sale. They're going to keep everyone.
Right. If
they're a happy game out of the wild card.
And if they win against Green Bay this week, they're 4-4.
Yeah. All right. That's a good point.
No, but because Jacksonville would have been in on Danielle Hunter, I think. Jacksonville should be a buyer to go get a pass rusher. They need to go get a pass rusher. And I would call the Commanders for Chase Young because he should be moved because they're not going to be able to keep him.
Would you rather have, let me ask you though about this. And I know Jonathan Allen isn't per se a pass rusher, but clearly he's not happy with things in Washington. Would you be interested in that if you're the Jaguars?
No, because they got good guys down. They're one of the better run defenses in the league. No, They need an edge. You know why they need an edge rusher? Because they drafted Trayvon Walker first overall. That's why.
He's playing better, but he ain't 8-9.
He has no pass rush moves. Put 20 pounds on him, make him Calais Campbell 2.0. That's what they should do.
Right.
They need an edge guy. If you imagine if you put Campbell, you put him inside and added Danielle Hunter or Chase Young to Josh Allen, who's playing out of his mind.
Pete, I'll throw out a random name. Let's see. There's somebody who actually said on Sunday that he is interested in signing with an NFL team. So you don't have to trade for him. He is a 5-time Pro Bowler who won the Super Bowl in 2020. His name is Ndamukong Suh. Who do you think should reach out to Mr. Suh about a possible job? You just mentioned a bunch of teams that could use some help up front.
Is he in shape, ready to go? I mean, that's
he signed with the Eagles last November and seemed fine.
Yeah. A team that needs interior pass rush should look at him. Buffalo. They lost Daquan Jones and they lost Ed Oliver's down now. That would be an interesting move for the Bills. Then you got 2 60-year-olds on your defensive line to go with Von Miller.
Do you think the Bills should look for help?
I love you, Vaughn. I'm kidding, Vaughn.
Yeah, exactly.
That's going to get cut, and Miller's going to go after. Vaughn's going to go after Prisco.
No, I love
do you think the Bills should look for a possible trade partner before the trade deadline if they're not able to get someone like Ndamukong Suh?
They should look. That defense is decimated. They should look for help at defensive interior. They should look for help at corner if they can find some.
What about, this sounds weird to say, and maybe it's just a function of Josh Allen only throwing the ball to Steph Diggs, but Gabe Davis has not been involved recently. Are you looking at wide receiver help, or are you just going to start getting Gabe Davis involved?
Well, you've also drafted the tight end in the first round who had a good game. Kincaid had a good game last week. He finally got going, so that's important.
And Dawson Knox is hurt, though.
Yeah. Shakir had a good game the other day. Didn't he have like 4 or 5 catches too?
Well, maybe he should start throwing the ball to other people is what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, you don't want Diggs in your ear every moment of the game either.
I get it.
His
All
offensive line has been terrible, by the way. Once again, Osiris Torrance had a really good start to the season, and last week he was bad.
I understand. And I mean, the defense, Milano and Daquan Jones, as you mentioned, and Trey White, for that matter, are huge losses, but you have no business losing to the Patriots.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
Because they made Mac Jones actually look like a real quarterback, and that's not true.
That's what got me angry in that thread with Jamie. When he brought up Mac Jones, that's when I pulled out the point. I can take the 0-13. I will not take the Mac Jones slander.
But you should take the Mac Jones slander.
Hey, man, he won. He beat your
You gave up. You gave up on him already, so you can't come back.
You have so many rules. All right. At the beginning of the season, everybody thought Tony Pollard was going to be the next big Cowboys running back. He is not. They have Rico Dowdle on the roster. They have Deuce Vaughn, who's undersized and hasn't been getting a lot of looks. Are they thinking about a running back here? And if so, who might it be?
I mean, don't we learn every week that it doesn't really matter who plays running back?
Yeah.
I mean, look at didn't Foreman go in and play well the other day?
3 touchdowns for the Bears.
Didn't Henderson go in and play well for the Rams the other day?
Against your Pittsburgh Steelers.
Didn't Cam Akers show a little bit of juice on Monday night? I mean, they're everywhere. Just
juice.
find one and pitch him the ball, and he'll make plays. I mean, it's not that complicated.
All right, Pete, you saying that running backs are replaceable parts. I get it. But here's a crazy question. If you're the Cleveland Browns and you know that your current QB situation is an injured Deshaun Watson who has not even been good when he's healthy, or former XFL quarterback PJ Walker, do you sniff around for a QB at the deadline so that you don't waste this Super Bowl caliber defense, or do you just go forward with Deshaun and PJ?
You can't. What are you going to sniff around? Like for who? Kirk Cousins?
Eddie Bridgewater? Andy Dalton? I don't know.
Are those guys going to get you to the Super Bowl? No.
Are they going to do better than PJ Walker?
Maybe, but
he keeps winning.
Look, I put 7 crazies in front of this question. It's a crazy question.
It's crazy. No. Deshaun Watson just needs to play better and stay on the damn field.
Yeah, that's a whole other can of worms. I don't know what's going on there. It's very weird to me, but whatever. I mean, that's not my thing. It does say a lot about Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who you liked last spring. I loved over the summer, and the moment was just too big for him. So I don't know if he gets another opportunity.
He wasn't ready.
Man, he's like 28, but I get it. But PJ Walker, despite his best effort.
I mean, it's not playing at UCLA. It's the NFL. Yeah. It's a big step.
I know.
One game, and you're already out on them.
No, I'm not. Are you talking about the Browns or me? I'm fine with them.
Yeah,
the Browns.
Well, here's the thing: if DTR play with PJ Walker's confidence, he'd already be in the Hall of Fame, because there's not a throw PJ Walker will not make, no matter how bad.
Some of PJ Walker's passes stay in the air for about a half hour. He threw a sideline pass the other day. I'm like, oh my God, it took so long to get there. It was complete, but it took a long time to get there.
Well, that's what happens. He keeps complete. I mean, he threw that Hail Mary against the Falcons a few years ago that traveled like 65 yards in the air. The guy can complete the wildest throws, but then misses on a 3-yard check down.
All right, Pete, before we go to break here, you and Breech both mentioned that the Vikings are, I mean, they're in the thick of it. They ain't selling anyone anymore. Who are some players that are potentially going to be on the market? I'm thinking primarily everyone on the Broncos, but are there other guys that you have your eye on?
Well, Titan, take a look at the Titans. Right, Henry could be on the market.
BR just got sent over to where do you go? Philly?
Yeah,
Byard.
Yeah, Byard got sent to Philly, which is a good trade for the Eagles, by the way.
Yeah, great trade.
What about Henry?
Who wants him, though? You just got finished talking about running backs.
That's my theory on it, but somebody out there might say, oh, like if the Cowboys said, I can get Henry into this offense and start
4th round pick, would you do it?
I think about it for 4th or 5th. Yeah.
Okay. Not a 3rd or 2nd.
The word out of Tennessee is that Mr. Levis might be starting this week.
You look nervous.
Well,
I don't look nervous. I can't wait to see it.
What'd you say, Breech?
Vrabel said if Tannehill can't go, that he is going to let Malik Willis and Levis both play. He's going to go with the old 2-quarterback system that has obviously worked so well.
I don't necessarily think that's true. The rumblings around the league are that maybe Levis is going to end up being the starter. Why wouldn't you just get on with it? You know what?
Because Malik Willis is legit. Give Malik his opportunity.
Did you see the other day when Tannehill was in the game? Before he got hurt, it was 2-point-something per throw, seconds per throw. Yeah. When Willis was in the game, it was 3.1. He holds the ball.
Yeah, I told you this fact last week when we talked about him. 4 dropbacks or 5 dropbacks, 4 sacks. That's like a record.
Yeah, look, he's not.
All right.
I just don't think I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. You might as well find out if Will Levis is. I think he is, but they got to find out if he is.
I get it.
It's just like Jordan Love. I was bullish on Jordan Love in the summer. You were bullish on Jordan Love when he came out. Can he play?
No.
I'm going to say this though. I'm going to say this. The other day was the first day he had his full complement of weapons, and they were so conservative in the first half. When they fell behind, did he not look 10 times better when he played up, loose, freer? He looked much better. So
I agree.
I don't understand what LaFleur did the other day.
Well, I also think he looked much better in the second half because it wasn't possible to play any worse than he did in the first half.
But he also made some good throws, though. You go back and watch that. He made some good throws.
But that's Christian Watson. They've been a horrible first half team, and Jordan Love has been a very good second half quarterback all season for whatever reason.
Where's Christian Watson? That's the mystery to me.
I don't know. Hamstring. Let me throw a couple names at you. Let me throw a couple names at you, Pete, and you tell me whether they stay or go, and maybe potential good landing spots. You mentioned Derrick Henry, Jerry Jeudy.
Stays.
He needs to pick it up. He needs to be not worried about what's his face is talking about, and he needs to focus on football. Brian Burns, edge rusher, Carolina.
I would trade him because I think you can get some good value for him, and you're gonna have a hard time bringing it back.
What about Patrick Surtain? I mentioned him earlier as potentially maybe San Francisco. He's the best player on that team.
How could you trade a young corner like that?
Yeah.
I don't get it. What are you going to replace him with? That's the thing. It's the same with Burns. If you trade Burns, what are you replacing him with? You got to get a pass rusher. Burns. Well, you're going to get a pass rusher. You're not going to get the same player.
All right. Anything, Breech, you want to add?
Old guys you can trade, young guys you can't trade if they're good players. That's
I mean, Wilson brought up Jerry Jeudy and Patrick Surtain. If you're the Broncos, are you having a fire sale, Pete?
Yeah, because I think everything is new there, and you can have that fire sale. But I wouldn't. Surtain should be part of the building block, not somebody you get rid of. What is he? 25 or 24, and
he can't be more than 25.
Top tier corner. You don't get rid of that.
I agree. I'm just throwing it out there. This trade deadline day is approaching. A week from now? All right. Going to take a quick break. When we come back.
Is 23.
23. Good Lord.
You don't get rid of that. You might draft a cornerback next year to replace him that's the same age.
Right. Yeah. And not as good, whoever it is.
Right.
All right. Going to take a quick break. When we come back, got our live power rankings where we pick who looks the best on the field. Look good, feel good, play good. Right after this.
We need the sports news anywhere.
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
All right, Pete, going to put 5 minutes on the clock because you got things to do. Going to do an on-the-spot blind power ranking. We make it up live on the air, and Pete doesn't know what 5 things we're going to give him or in what order. Week 7 showcase the best of uniforms. The old Eagles busted out the Kelly Greens, and perhaps something a little less than that. Producer Harry wasn't crazy about the Colts and those heather blue numbers. I actually sort of liked them.
Oh,
yeah, you were with Harry. All right, fair enough. All right, Pete, this segment is all about you. Asking you to rank the best NFL jerseys. First up, and you know how this works, right? We're going to give you the names. You have to put them in places 1 through 5, and you don't know what's coming next.
Okay, go ahead.
First up, 1968. Make sure I'm on the right page here. Yep. Chargers Powder Blues.
1.
That's not Breech. Tell them how you play this game.
No, I'm not telling them. Everybody plays it their own way.
Breech always puts the first one at number 3, so he has wiggle room. I'll give you. Okay.
There's no better jersey than that.
He's pretty adamant about this.
All right, go ahead. Oh, I guess I'm up again.
Yeah, go again. You were here for Brinson, who's not here.
All right.
And it's your team.
And you moved this team up 11 spots in the power rankings. The 1933 Pittsburgh Steelers Bumblebees.
5.
Oh gosh.
I knew he was going to put him at 5. I already wrote it down.
Those are terrible. Those are awful.
Oh,
they're not great.
I love that Pete hates those. All right, Pete, here is your third one. Right now you have the Powder Blues at 1, the Bumblebees at 5, 3 open slots, and your next one is the Eagles Kelly Green jerseys.
3.
Oh, really? I might have put those at 2.
You're going to give me one I like better. That's why.
Maybe Pete does know what he's doing here. All right.
Smarter than he looks.
Before I give you the team, I'll give you a hint. Do you remember what John McKay's his little famous line was when talking about the execution of his team?
Yeah. I'm all for it.
I'm all for it. I love that line. 1976 Buccaneers creamsicles.
2.
Yeah, I think you got that right. This one's a good one too. Go ahead, Breech.
This is actually, I think, the most underrated jersey of all time, even though I think most people actually hate it. And that is the Seattle Seahawks neon green alternate.
Can I?
You already used 5.
I want to put it at 22. It was terrible. It's a terrible jersey.
I like it.
I thought you were going. Here's what I thought you were going to say. The Seattle Seahawks old blue uniforms, the Kurt Warner blue.
Oh yeah, those are nice.
I thought I would have said to myself, "Oh darn, I might have put them at number 2 and switched the Bucks down a little bit," but because those uniforms were actually good.
Well, you're stuck putting that at number 4, Pete. So real quick, you could redo it.
Ones are terrible.
The greens are worse than the Bumblebees?
No, they're not worse than the Bumblebees. The Bumblebees are the worst.
All right, Breech, give us the recap, top to 1 to 5. I can't remember.
That means Pete's top-ranked jersey is the Chargers powder blues, followed by the Buccaneers creamsicles. Number 3, Eagles Kelly green. Number 4, the Seahawks neon green jerseys. And number 5, holding up the rear, the Steelers Bumblebee jerseys.
I'm a traditionalist, by the way, when it comes to jerseys.
I would have guessed. All right, let me ask you this, though. So rank these. The Seahawks OGs with Kurt Warner and Zorn. The Earl Campbell Oilers, which is a fun one. And then like let's do the Denver and the Packers throwbacks, like to the teens, where those just wear like just unicolors.
No, the throwbacks were terrible.
Okay.
Now the old Orange Crush jerseys were great.
Those are good. So you're a 70s, 80s fan.
Yeah, those jerseys were so clean. The Cardinals' old red one, plain red, was great. The plain white one was a great jersey.
What about the Bengals with just Bengals written in Cleveland Brown on the helmet?
No, I didn't like that. I like the Bengals.
How do you feel about the Bengals striped helmets, though? Do you think they're one of the better ones in the NFL? Most creative?
Nah,
they're okay.
No, they're top 5.
Don't you agree, though, that the old Bengals uniforms were better back in the day?
What's changed?
Yeah, like their Super Bowl 23, that era jersey. I do like those.
Yes, that one was.
They tried to simplify it with the new jerseys.
Yeah, the sleeve was different on the old ones.
All right.
Right.
I like the old Brown. I'm a minority, but I think the Browns jerseys, as plain as can be, were all awesome when they
look. The Penn State jerseys, those are nice. Notre Dame jerseys are nice. Browns, that color, I don't.
Who knew that Pete was such a fashionista here? He is just all about the jersey conversation.
Yeah, you a Giants fan?
Yeah, I like the old Giants traditional uniforms.
I do. I like the actual, not even the Phil Simms Giants helmets, but the NY. I like that helmet.
You're talking about the old
white,
the 60s.
The white Tittle helmet.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what
they were awful. When I was a kid, they were terrible for a lot of those years. They were good, then they were terrible. So they were
Pete used to sneak into the Polo Grounds. I think that's where they played, the Polo Grounds back in the day.
They played at Yankee Stadium.
Oh, all right.
Pete, what do you think of Jacksonville's mustard yellow color rush jerseys? Favorites ever?
I haven't seen those.
There is none.
I don't know.
You don't remember those?
No. They never wore mustard yellow.
Or gold. I mean, I guess they're gold. They were like
They were gold. They were gold.
Dijon mustard. Poupon. Gray Poupon.
They were terrible. They were awful.
Gray Poupon.
Jacksonville's, the uniform they wore the other day against the Saints? That's their best uniform.
All right.
Black pants, white shirts. Best uniform.
What about the turquoise ones?
Yeah, the ones that used to have the thing on it. Nah, they're okay. I think the white. I like white jerseys. If your jersey is good and white, then you have a good uniform.
So you like the Bengals white tiger uniforms?
No, those are awful.
What?
The white tiger uniforms are terrible.
Is it because it looks like a zebra?
You know what? When I was there I was there for mini camp or training camp, and they showed us those for the first time. I go, ugh, those are so gross. That other helmet is 10 times better looking.
Let's end the show, Ryan. This is blasphemy. I can't believe I'm listening to this.
All right. I think that's going in on making fun of Breech. And remember, folks, I went 0-13 this week, just in case.
We will never let you forget that, by the way.
No kidding. Get the T-shirts made up, send them along. I'll happily wear them. All right, that's a wrap. Join us on Wednesday for Tuesdays with Brady. Brinson will be joined by Brady Quinn and Lee J. Dooswell to go over the biggest stories of the week. And before you go, give us a like, hit the old subscribe button on YouTube, leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your pods. For Breech, for Pete, for producer Harry, I'm 0-13 Wilson. See you guys later.